Okay guys, so what we have here is phase 1 of my complete suspension overhaul plan. Now this here is the prothane total kit for my MR2, and here we have bits like the inner tie rods, outer tie rods, front ball joints and rear ball joints. Now I'm going to move these aside. I'm going to unbox them in just a few minutes, but first I want to focus on this prothane polyurethane bushing suspension total kit. Okay, so here is the prothane total kit. Now this is the total kit for my MR2 Mark 1. The prothane part number is actually 18-2008. What comes in the kit? Here we have the rear strut rod bushings. This is these 8 bushings and the 4 sleeves. These are the front and rear control arm bushings. These 2 sets of 4 each here. These are the front sway bar bushings. These are the steering rack bushings. And here we have the front strut rod bushings. The kit also comes with this, which is prothane super grease. Now the deal and the idea behind this is that it's supposed to prevent squeaking. Some people complain about squeaking and squeaky polyurethane bushings. Prothane actually says that if you install them properly and apply the super grease on both the inner, the inner and the outer faces of the bushings as well as on these sleeves, that you will not have any squeaking at all. Regarding the polyurethane bushings themselves, if you do some research online, you will see that the opinions are actually pretty, different when it comes to these things. Some people say they're too harsh, they cause a lot of vibrations and a lot of, increased noise in your car. If you actually take a look at these, some of these are extremely hard. These are as you can see, it's almost impossible to squeeze this thing and change the shape. So I guess there will definitely be more vibrations and probably, some more noise. But on the other hand, some people do say that this is a great improvement of handling and the car feels a lot better. But on the other hand, you can see also these are the control arm bushings. You can actually deform these, so these may not be as hard. And I assume that somebody who is probably, has a much better technical understanding of suspensions has actually formulated the different harshness of these things. I have no idea how these feel, and whether I will be pleased with them. I actually bought them because when you look at the MR2 and the aftermarket for its suspension, especially the Mark 1 MR2, there's no alternative to polyurethane, and this did look like a great deal because you do get the whole thing for less than $100, and the addition of the steering rack bushings is a really nice thing too, because these do wear out on the Mark 1, and you get a really wobbly steering, and very little steering feedback. I actually have that, and I'm looking forward to replacing these. What's missing from the kit, as far as I can tell, nothing is missing other than the rear sway bar bushings. You do not get these in the kit, and as far as I have seen from my research, Prothane doesn't even make this. So that's it when it comes to the Prothane total kit. I'm very much looking forward to installing this, and now we are going to focus on the other suspension bits. So here we have the rest of the suspension parts. Here we have the ball joints, front and rear. Here you go. Here we have the outer tie rods. And here we have the inner tie rods. Now, as you can see, all of these parts are not OEM. OEM doesn't exist anymore unless you bought it in like 5 or 10 years ago and kept it somewhere in a shed. But this is supposed to be a reputable, good quality company, so I'm expecting good things from these parts. This is actually, most of this is new old stock. I was very fortunate to be able to get this from a local supplier. I was actually waiting 2 months for this. It came from a storage somewhere in Netherlands, and I got it at an extremely low price because the storage was actually happy to get rid of this. Once the parts actually arrived at the local supplier here, the guy who was working there thought this was a mistake, didn't even never heard about an MR2 from 1987, but luckily I did get them in the end. I got this whole deal for around $100, so I'm very happy with this. I'm definitely looking forward to installing these and finally getting my suspension in order. Right now my suspension feels, kind of crappy, which is to expect it from something that's 30 years old and it probably hasn't been maintained properly in the last 2 decades. Right now there's a lot of bumps here. The car feels kind of unsafe at anything above 60 or 70 miles per hour. So this will definitely be very important to, getting the car driving and feeling right. So this is part 1 of my suspension overhaul project. Now in part 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install all these parts that I have just shown you, and I'm going to make a detailed video showing you how to remove the old suspension bushings and how to install the ball joints and the tie rods and all the other bits. Now another really important part of the suspension project I haven't decided on is actually my shocks and springs. Now there are 3 main ideas I have in my head, but I would really like some comments and feedback from you guys on what you think would be the best approach. Now approach number 1 is actually coilovers. I do not have the budget for something extremely, extremely high dollar, and actually doesn't exist for the MR2 Mark I. What my coilover idea is a brand called Daiyama. It's actually a Japanese maker of coilovers. The prices are reasonable and the reviews are pretty good. You can actually look them up yourselves. They have adjustable camber front and rear. They have adjustable stiffness, and of course you can lower or raise the ride height of your car. Why I like coilovers is I don't think I'll be using all the options they give me. They might be a great learning experience when it comes to all the different settings and how they affect handling. Why I like them a lot is actually that you get the whole thing already finished. You do not have to buy all the different parts and order them and so on. You just get the coilovers and install them, which is a 2 or 3 hour job at most. Option number 2 is actually something that has been tried and tested, and it has been shown to be one of the best options for the MR2 Mark I, which is actually koni yellow shocks or shock inserts and some reputable lowering springs, usually IBA or something similar. Now this option might sound to be more, to be cheaper than the coilovers, but actually it isn't, because you need to buy the top mounts and a bunch of other little things, and cost adds up. So these 2 things actually cost almost the same. The downside being that there's no ride height adjustment. Konis do allow you, koni yellows do allow you to adjust the firmness of the ride, but still, it's not as much adjustability as you get with coilovers. And option number 3 is something completely weird and something that in this day and age everybody will think is is just probably a stupid idea, but it's actually going back to stock, and it's buying stock replacement shock inserts, which are actually KYB shocks, and buying replacement stock springs. This would bring the car effectively back to the factory ride height and probably make it all wobbly, or a lot of this and this in the corners. So I don't know about that. The option is definitely the cheapest option, and I think it might be fun to see how the MR2 actually handled when it was new from the factory. So I would love to hear what you think about this, what you think I should do. So, and we can actually decide together on what might be the best approach for my MR2. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode. See ya.